Business ownership has never been hotter, but how do you do it? That's where I come in. Allow me to guide you on your journey. Welcome to Ion Franchise. This episode sponsored by SEO Samba. Empower your franchise with predictable results and AI-driven marketing.
Up next.
Well, we're going to talk about dough in a couple of ways.
Happy to be here with a fellow Long Islander who appreciates a real, true, good New York bagel. Unbeknownst to us, Jimmy Kimmel did a 10-minute skit about the Bagel Boss guy.
Wait, who
Sure.
listening knows what Yoo-hoo is besides people from the Northeast, right? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Ion Franchising, and I'm your host, Lance Graulich. You know, we're going back to my hometown right now for this episode. I was 9 years old when this brand was born, and I'm old. I'm going to be 58 coming up. And it's a bagel concept from my hometown, right near in the five towns, Hewlett, Long Island, Hewlett, New York. And I have Andrew Hazen, the CEO of Bagel Boss, with me. Special episode. Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing well, Lance. Thanks for having me on. Happy to be here with a fellow Long Islander who appreciates a real, true, good New York bagel. So really appreciate it. Big fan of the show.
Thank you. Well, we're going to talk about dough in a couple of ways. You know, we'll talk about some money you can make, and obviously not making the donuts, but making the bagels. And
That's right.
I'll tell you, one of my favorites when I went into a store once many years ago, I don't know how many years ago you got the trademark for this. You have a flagel, a flat bagel. And I got to save calories wherever I can, you know?
Yeah, that was in 2010 that we filed that trademark.
I love it. All right. Tell everybody what Bagel Boss is. Let's start with that.
Sure. So Bagel Boss is a premium bagel cafe. We started here in Long Island, New York in 1975. Family owned and operated. We're fifth and sixth generation bagel and bialy bakers whose family actually originated over in Bialystok, Poland, where the Bialys come from. And my partner, Adam, whose his family actually started the business, I started working with him in 1988 when I was 15 years old in the Merrick store that he opened. So Adam has two brothers and his father, Mel, Randy, Jerry, and Adam. They opened up the Hicksville store, the OG, the original, 1975, still in business today.
Yep.
24 hours. Very famous for Long Islanders to go there late night for hot, fresh bagels and Yoo-hoo back in the day and still today.
Wait. Who
Sure.
listening knows what Yoo-hoo is besides people from the Northeast, right?
Right. Yeah. Quick chocolate milk, right? Chocolate milk.
That's it.
And Adam's brother opened up a store in Bayshore in 1982, which is still in existence today. And then Adam, at the age of 24 years old, went to Merrick, which is kind of the area where I grew up, and opened that store and hired me when I was in 10th grade. And from there, he kind of, back then, disrupted the bagel industry from display cases, 4 different types of tuna, which you may be familiar with, but you know, some of the listeners outside of the metro area might be like, how do you change tuna? You know, when people walk into Bagel Boss and we have, you know, 3 18-foot display deli cases, there's regular tuna, classic. There's veggie tuna. There's spicy tuna. There's honey mustard tuna. And it goes on and on where people are like, oh my God, I can't believe there's so many options.
You know, my mother didn't really like spicy things, but she loved that spicy tuna.
Yeah,
That's where I first got, introduced to spicy tuna was Bagel Boss, funny enough.
Yeah, we like to say over the years, you know, we're the innovator, not the imitator. And we've actually been given credit. 1982, the New York Times had Adam's father, Mel, on the cover of the food section, giving us credit with actually creating the cinnamon raisin swirl bagel and the actual spinach bagel, which was a salt and sugar-free bagel, but the actual spinach had natural flavoring in it. But, you know, from really random cream cheese flavors, the obvious chocolate chip, a pineapple cream cheese, blueberry cream cheese, walnut raisin cream cheese. We like to stay, on top of our game and really give our customers a really unique experience.
Yeah, that is awesome. And full disclosure, you were nice enough weeks ago to send a care package to my house and actually surprised me. I definitely didn't know I was getting it. And I got bagels and I got black and white cookies and rugula. Oh my God, it was absolutely, we went through all of that. And
No, I'm glad you enjoyed it. We have a really nice e-commerce business. So when people come into our cafes, they say, "Oh, my kids in Texas would love this. My college student in Michigan would love this." So we enable them. They go to bagelboss.com and they can ship. And we ship FedEx anywhere, in the country next day, and they're able to enjoy all those delicacies. So,
I love it.
obviously during the pandemic, that the internet business actually spiked up a tremendous amount because people weren't able to travel and they sent a lot of this comfort food to their loved ones.
Yeah, people got lazier and said, "What can I get ordered to my house?" All right, so I got Amazon, and then what else?
Yeah, no, but we even saw people that weren't able to travel to see like their grandchildren being born, so they would send mini bagels as teething rings.
Oh,
Like it was really like it's really heartwarming to hear some of these. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 50 years,
I love it.
but especially the e-commerce business, about 15, before Goldbelly or Ghost Kitchens, we were literally shipping on the internet, and people would send us letters like, I'm in Montana. I grew up in New York. My kids don't know what an everything bagel is.
Yeah.
Or the mailman is like so furious because his truck smelled like everything bagels all day in Lansing, Michigan, and his stomach is growling. And you read these and you get teary-eyed because you're really making a difference in
Yeah.
someone's day.
When people talk about comfort food, though, seriously, this is my comfort food. And this is, I live in Vegas, and there's a ton of people in Vegas from back east, and people are always asking, where the heck can I get a good New York bagel? So, describe the process. I mean, we're going to talk about the franchise system, but talk about the process because people listening that are listening with one ear and maybe not two yet, they're not all bought in yet. It's like, wait a second. Do I have to make these bagels if I'm a franchisee? Because everybody's worried, I'm gonna have to find a baker
Sure.
that knows all this stuff. Let's talk without giving away the secret sauce, if you will.
Hmm.
You have a pretty easy franchise system compared to what people might think it is.
Right. So, even though I've been involved with the business and the brand for 36 years, I started from the counter, to now being the CEO of the company. I've seen it from a different lens than someone whose family started the business. So as we began to really franchise, our first 14 locations from 75 to call it 2020 were corporate-owned stores that we opened and eventually sold to our managers. And they
Yeah,
became licensees, franchisees, because we already got the stores up and running. They were successful,
a
and then
great
they bought
idea.
them. Thank you. So seeing it from a different lens, when I became involved as a CEO and focused on growing us from 14 locations to 25, my mission is to 25 to 50, 50 to 200, and we're on path with 30 stores right now to hit the 50. I want to make it as simple as possible for people that love the product, love the atmosphere that we create, love the brand, but don't still have to wake up early, but don't want to get caught up in where it gets too complex.
Right.
So we have a bagel factory here in Long Island, New York. We manufacture the bagels with the New York order. So our differentiator, or one of them at least, is that we offer a true, authentic New York bagel made with New York order, made with the Rosner family, fifth and sixth generation, family old world secrets from Bialystok, Poland. And there's no cutting corners. They can't change the flour. They can't use less sugar. They can't use more salt. So we have total control. And we form the bagels, which then allows our franchisees to not worry about a few things. A, the space that's required for a bagel forming machine or 120 quart mixer or 4 pallets of flour, yeast, malt, etc. Then they don't need the labor for someone to come in at 3 or 4 in the morning or not come in or call in sick to mix the dough. Then they're not dealing with the mess that you make when you're mixing up the flour and it's all over the back of the house and you got to sweep it up and clean it afterwards. And then maintenance on machines that inevitably break. So I saw this growing up. I'm 51 years old today. So from 15 to 51, I felt the pain through the Adams experiences on what worked and what didn't.
Yeah.
So we create the bagels here in New York, Bagels and Bakery. So the rugula, the babka, the black and white cookie shells, formed in New York, not baked, shipped directly to our franchisees, and then they bake hot, fresh on the premises. So people get to experience a true freshly baked bagel, bialy, babka, you name it.
Yeah. Love it. So I'm going to ask a really important question that a lot of former New Yorkers or Northeasterners are thinking right now because we didn't hear it. You do boil the bagels, correct?
We have both options. So when they go to the franchisee, again, going back to what I said earlier about the skill and keeping it pretty simple, if someone comes to us with a food experience or, is willing to learn or is very, pro having that kettle, water, boiled baking, we will allow it. Most of our franchisees at the moment are going to go with a proof box. So it's still blasted with the steam and then it goes into the oven. So then it's baked, accordingly. So we actually have, while we have 13 units coming to Florida, a little baker's dozen,
Yep.
we have two coming to North Carolina, and that's an example of a gentleman who comes from the baking space. He's from the tri-state area, and I don't want to say he's insisting, but he definitely wants to have the water kettle boil bagel, and we're totally all for it. He'll still go through training, but there is room for error when you can over kettle a bagel, and that's when
Yes.
they look like Hershey Kisses and there's no hole in the middle.
Yes.
And then also putting your arm into the oven and flipping the boards can become, not anyone can do that. So with
Yes.
the ovens that we're recommending to our franchisees opening in California and Florida and New York, is that anyone that's properly trained, high school student, college student, adult, retiree, and you're not just tied into a certain skill set that
Yeah.
you're at their mercy to execute.
Got it. So where did the idea of franchising come in?
I've been, recommending it to Adam over the over the last probably 6 years. Like I said, the family's done a phenomenal job since 1975. Got it up to 14 locations, roughly 12 on Long Island, not nine or 10, nine, 10, 10 on Long Island, two in Manhattan, and um, you know, as people started moving out of New York and the transplants went down, and people kept saying, "How come you don't open in Florida?" That's
Yeah.
why we did the e-commerce business, because we started shipping. I mean, that in and of itself is a nice size business and a separate own,
Yeah.
revenue stream. But people are like, why don't you open here? Why don't you open here? And everyone's like, it's the water and this and that. And some of our competitors have, different things that they say it's New York style, or that
Yeah.
they're ex-New Yorkers in different, regions creating a New York bagel. But I said to Adam, I go, look, I had a previous business that I had sold in the digital marketing space. I was in a non-compete that I couldn't be in digital marketing for 4 or 5 years at least. And I was very passionate about the bagel business. The e-commerce business was actually mine. So again, this is like before Goldbelly. I was essentially, for the last 15 years, I was offering Bagel Boss bagels, taking the orders and giving it to them for fulfillment.
Right.
And it got to the point where he, again, it's my dear friend of 35 years, and I wish he was able to join us today, but he's off for his daughter's wedding. Um, but he would call me screaming, "Come look at my store. What the hell are you doing?" Everyone in the store was working for my e-commerce business. They were wrapping boxes, they were packing them. The Hewlett store, which you're familiar with, probably Hewlett's got to be about 5,000 square feet. It's a 24-hour store.
Big one.
Customers couldn't sit in the front because I was shipping literally 10,000 bagels out in one day. And he's like, these boxes. So I said, make me a partner. Let me get involved in the brand. Well, I'll take the e-commerce business and I'll help you franchise and help us grow. So it took about 4 or 5 years of negotiations. And in 2020, I invested in, became the acting CEO. Um, it's
I
actually
love it.
nice. Adam moved he's down in Miami, Florida. I'm up here in New York. So as we're opening up these 13 stores, I actually have some, boots on the ground down there. It's all in the South Florida area, which is where he is.
Yeah.
So it's really nice when a franchisee is looking at spots in all these different areas, Delray, Boca, Surfside, Miami, Aventura. He tells me, he's working harder now than ever before because, we're actually growing pretty quickly.
Yeah. You put them to work.
Yes.
So when people ask me as a franchise broker consultant, how do I know a good franchise and what's the criteria? And I said, look, it's got to make money. It's got to have great leadership. It's got to have a great brand, something special, something proprietary. Man, you guys, besides having the long history, great leadership, it's amazing the cult-like following that you've created. I mean, every time I turn around, there's another celebrity touting, I can't live without Bagel Boss.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
I
From
mean,
over the
what are you
years.
doing for that? Just putting
Yeah.
out good bagels?
Yeah, no, it's true brand ambassadors. Like I said, I learned growing up in this business for 35 or 36 years. I learned someone could be having a rough day. They could be starting their day off bad at 6 or 7 in the morning, and you just give them like a little piece of rugula right out of the oven, and they smile like you. I mean, cannot smile when you eat a warm piece of rugula out of the oven. So
No,
the impact that it has on people, I mean, over the years, whether it's Howard Stern talking about us, earned media. His mother's a big fan on Long Island, constantly buying Bagel Boss for Mother's Day and for Breakfast for the holidays. The guys from Entourage out in the West Coast, Barstool, Bethany Frankel. And, years ago, a lot of people may or may not know, if you Google like a Bagel Boss guy, there was a guy that went crazy at one of our stores in Bayshore. And it literally went viral, tens of millions of views.
I love it.
And unbeknownst to us, Jimmy Kimmel did a 10-minute skit about the Bagel Boss guy, who was
What?
Jason Alexander. They had
Yep.
Tracy Morgan in it, Jimmy Kimmel, and I mean, it's pretty flattering to see this type of attention
Amazing.
for a Long Island-based brand that's really been around for, like I said, almost 50 years.
Amazing. All right, Andrew, let's talk about the investment. So somebody listening, what does it cost? Are you doing single units? You have to do multiple units? What kind of experience do you need? And again, what is that investment to get rolling here in a Bagel Boss?
Sure. Ideally, we're looking for, owner operators that are going to be involved. We have a few multi-units in play in Florida and California. Ideally, if someone has food experience, it's great. We do have people coming on board without food experience that are going through our vigorous training program to get up to Bagel Boss standards. Our stores range currently from about 800 square feet to 5,000. We're targeting 1,800 to about 2,200 square feet as the average new size going forward. While we haven't had a drive-through yet, we have it modeled. We're excited to explore that option in this new day and age. And the build out, whether it's first generation space or used second generation space, is going to be anywhere from really 400,000 to probably up to $1 million.
Yeah.
Is there HVAC? We work with a grill. Is there hood and cell system? We just opened a store about 3 weeks ago. It was roughly about $600,000, soup to nuts, in a brand new white vanilla box.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, and for those listening, I tell everybody about the least expensive restaurant you'll get these days is $400,000, and
Yeah.
it goes up well beyond 1 million or more. Some big sports bars can get to $2.5 million.
Yeah. Well, we have
So
some beautiful display cases, the deli cases, the refrigeration, the freezer space. So it adds up.
yeah, wonderful. All right, Andrew. So regarding training, obviously nobody wants to come to New York in the dead of winter, but you have to sometimes because that's where training is going to be.
Sure.
And so tell everybody about the training process and how that works.
Absolutely. And by the way, a lot of people eat bacon, egg, and cheese, or as we refer to them as Becks up in the Northeast, in the winter to stay warm. But for training, usually the franchisee and their 2 or 3 key people come up to New York. And because we have such a large footprint up here with 13 stores on Long Island and 2 in Manhattan, we give them firsthand experience in training out at the commissary on how to prepare the foods, the cream cheeses, whether it's lox and cream cheese combinations or something of that effect, how to make all the signature salads, learn about proofing the bagels in the bakery, learning about opening, front of house, back of house, the Clover POS system that we currently use, the digital menu boards. And we also have 2 options. We have a kosher and a non-kosher. So Bagel Boss, which a lot of people on Long Island know, is there's no meat. So there's no boar's head, there's no turkey, no roast beef, no bacon, no sausage. And then we have Bagel Boss Deli, which does have all the meats. So of the 13 stores on Long Island, 7 are kosher and 6 are not kosher. So we also, depending on what the franchisee is going to have themselves, we give them experience at both different shops. Because if they're not going to be making bacon, egg, and cheese, they don't need to really know about bacon. And maybe the fake
Right.
bacon or the soy bacon, but not the real thing.
Right.
So they go through that, and then catering. We really derive revenue from 4 streams. One's the typical over-the-counter business where customers walk in and they purchase. Then there's the third-party apps, which we have our own Bagel Boss app that customers can download and earn Boss points and loyalty, which then saves our franchisees fees from the third-party apps, which we also take, Grubhub, DoorDash, and Uber Eats. And then the other 2 verticals would be wholesale and catering. So catering is really big, especially in the New York area. Corporations, law firms, banks, celebrations, communions, bar mitzvahs, brisses, or even shivas. As I sometimes say, you shiver, we deliver, because people need to eat. And when they walk in, they actually see, and you can probably attest to this for the listeners, but when you see our spreads, meaning like our catering out on a table, when I say spreads, people know it's Bagel Boss.
Yeah.
Whether it's the kale touches, or the lemon peels, or the vegetables that look like swans, like we take pride. So people kind of like, oh, they got Bagel Boss for this event, and they kind of feel like they're gonna get some extra lox, some extra smoked salmon.
These are fancy people. They got Bagel Boss.
They are. And then the wholesale. So some of our stores, depending on where they're located, they'll get wholesale accounts, like literally school contracts, country clubs, gas stations, delis that they're wholesaling bagels to.
Yeah.
So that's why a few of our stores, not all, but a few of them operate 24 hours, because from 11 to 2, they're baking and delivering routes for the wholesale accounts. Whereas those stores not in those areas would typically operate, their operating hours will be 6 or 5 a.m. till 4 to 6 p.m.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
Let
Marketing,
me just add on training. When they open, we're with them the first 2 weeks, elbow to elbow from opening to close, so that nothing goes wrong. And well, something always goes wrong, let's be honest, but we're there to support and make sure that we can get everything done the Bagel Boss
yeah.
way.
No, I love it. And the support you give is going to be outstanding. And that's what great franchisees need, is they need that support in the beginning, more support in the beginning. And obviously when they got it, they got it. You're giving that guidance as needed. The marketing, we touched on all of the wonderful social media things and celebrities that have touted Bagel Boss as the king of bagels, if you will. When it comes to the typical launch for a location or the grand opening, is there anything special in particular? I mean, I always loved in the food business just doing a soft opening just to get the kinks out, make sure everybody feels comfortable, and
Hmm.
then then you announce to the world you're open. But what is a
You're
Bagel Boss
100%
strategy?
correct. And we just did this 9 days ago. We just opened a store here in Long Island. And that's what we did. It's in a big, big new development, 330 acres, 3,500 residents, a super Walmart with 300 employees and 6,000 customers a day. So people kept pulling on the door. And on Sunday, we're like, you know what? Just unlock it and see what happens. And the
Yeah.
place was packed. It was a little slow on, getting, making 36 bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches on your first day. That's why we didn't announce it, but we did a soft opening Sunday through Thursday, and then that Friday we did a grand opening. We haven't even turned on the third-party apps except our own at the moment. Already getting catering jobs, from people in the community. We're big. My background also is, as I mentioned earlier, in digital marketing. So we're really big on geo fencing and geo targeting people in the area so
Yeah.
that they know that we're there. Direct mail pieces, a lot of outreach in the community. So whether it's a local celebrity, like we've had Doc Gooden here in New York for the Mets and the Yankees, he's been here in the office. We can get creative again. We're the innovators, not the imitators. So we make colored bagels like blue and orange. So
Yeah.
Doc was here. We were having blue and orange bagels in the office, and instead of the black and white cookies, we made blue and orange cookies for him. And so we can get kind of unique in that regard. And then we
Love
do
it.
a promotion. Whether it's the first all day free coffee, free bagel with coffee. We want to get the community there, and then we go out and we tell the franchisees to offer a little muffin and bakery platters, little mini bagels with cream cheese to the local office complexes, hospitals, nursing homes, with menus, so
Yeah.
that they know that we're around. And one of the unique things about our app is, besides just ordering, meals, you can order catering on our apps. So, and I got some pushback from the legacy stores, the ones that have been around for 25 years. And then I started showing them that they're getting these catering orders from $200 to $800 each, multiple times a month, without even talking to anybody. They just come in, continental breakfast for 20, hot
Yep.
breakfast for 56 for the bank down the road. So they're
Yes.
starting to see how technology can help them.
It is amazing how much catering is the bread and butter, or the bagel and butter, to this
The
deal.
bagel and the
Any
schmear.
Just the schmear. Well, I have to also say, we're talking about marketing. Home of the flagel, brother to the Bialy. You guys have a saying, an expression for everything. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, obviously, based on your marketing experience, marketing is well taken care of. Let's talk a little bit more about where you want to
Sure.
at this point. Obviously, Florida, because your customers leave the cold Northeast. They go to Florida, California, similarly. Um, can there be a Bagel Boss in every city or every state?
It's, eventually, I don't know about every single one, but the plan is to go where there's a lot of transplanted New Yorkers. Everyone loves bagels. Obviously they've been around for a very, very long time. We didn't create the bagel, although we did create the flagel. Um, and I've also learned about something called halfbacks. People that move to Florida, they realize it's not for them, and they move to North Carolina. So they go down and then they go halfback. So I just learned that
Halfway
terminology,
back.
halfback.
I
So
love
we're
it.
seeing a lot of interest in North Carolina, tremendous interest and inquiries for like Westchester area. Now, again, they're in New York, but they keep calling us and saying, we need Bagel Boss in Westchester, which is a pretty
Yeah,
big market.
I
So for
love it.
support reasons, we want to be on the Eastern Seaboard, up and down from New York to Florida. We are opening, of course, in California, as we mentioned. We have multiple units coming with an experienced franchisee, which made it a little bit easier for me to approve that person in that area because they have a track record of success. And there are certain just major regions. We're talking to a few, how do I describe it? Like arenas, the non-traditional
Yeah.
space,
Contract
and
carriers.
contract carriers,
Yeah.
and also major universities, like all the time, because Long Island is Long Island with almost 5 million people. They go, why don't you open in Syracuse? Why don't you open University of Miami? Why don't you open where all the kids are going to college?
Yep.
So I'm like, great. Who's operating these stores? We need franchisees as you clearly know, it's
Yeah.
easy to open the store, but who's going to be running the store?
Yeah, airports, these concessionaires and these contract carriers typically have a whole bunch of F&B experts. You just need
Hmm.
one trained in Bagel Boss and, hopefully can oversee it all correctly. It's how Starbucks did it. They didn't franchise, but they had these licensees.
Hmm.
And, sometimes it works out exactly like you expect, but it's great recognition to get, in an airport and all these other fun spots. But, let's talk about money. Show me the dough.
Show you the dough.
Not
Come
the bagel
roll in the
dough,
dough.
the real dough. So for those listening, every franchise brand has a franchise disclosure document. Item 19 is the earnings claim. Obviously, this is a heritage and legendary brand that has a great history. Clearly, there's money to be made in bagels with nice margins. But what does that look like in that item 19?
Sure. So the average unit volume in our item 19 is just about $2.2 million per store. I believe it's 2185 and change. Ranges from about 1.5 million to some stores doing north of $4 million.
That's a lot of
Which,
bagels and
yeah, which
flagels.
goes back to those catering, wholesale, what channels they're coming in from. But that's the average unit volume is roughly 2.2 million.
Yeah, everybody always wants to know, and I tell people all the time when you investigate franchises, especially through me as a franchise broker, we'll make sure you're talking to existing franchisees to find out about their experience. And they're not bound by the FDD, that disclosure document. They can tell you whatever they want to tell you, and that
Correct?
adds to the experience. But obviously, you can tell how great Andrew is. Andrew, final thoughts, final words of wisdom for the audience on the bagel space or franchising?
No, I mean, we're looking for great partners to grow the brand. I promised my partner Adam when I got involved, failure wasn't an option, and we're gonna, he really wanted to make sure, being a bagel guy his entire life, that the people that open stores, A, make money, get treated properly, and support. So while we're growing, we're not looking to grow too quickly. There's no rush to, and coming from the restaurant world, to make it 10 years is something to be said. But we have stores that have been
Yes,
around for 10, 15, 25, 35, and nearly 50 years. So
my whole life.
we have the experience and the track record to succeed and do well. But we're really looking for great people that love bagels. You gotta love the product, and people that aren't afraid to wake up early. I was talking to one couple in New Jersey, Scotch Plains, and they said, "Do we have to get up early, Andrew, if we want to get in the bagel business?" And I'm like, "This is not for you. You don't have to get up and make the bagels, but your phone, something is like, nothing in life is easy, and something is definitely bound to go wrong at some point. So just be prepared. And, if you don't like getting up early, this is not the choice. But if you like to wake up early, you like the hospitality business, you like to see people smile, you love to bite into a great award-winning New York bagel, which for the last 20 plus years, we've been rated Long Island's best bagel, then, we'd love to see if you're interested in joining the family.
Andrew, you have been amazing. I don't often endorse just because I have somebody on my podcast. I love to use this space, this platform, to allow almost anybody that I think is interesting to come on and talk about what they're doing in franchising. But you were a special invitee due to the fact that I absolutely love Bagel Boss. I love you and I love what you guys are doing. So I
Thank
wholeheartedly
you.
endorse everything that Bagel Boss does. And I look forward to your amazing success. And this is a fun, sexy business that people are really going to like. So
Well,
thank you
and
for being
thank you
here.
for what you do, because you keep educating us, and I appreciate what you're doing, because I keep learning and I love the shows that you produce. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I will see you soon enough. Talk to you
You
soon.
got it.
Take care, everyone.
If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.